When we start writing stories, I don't think we really think about how emotionally invested we might become in everything involved in creating that story. We don't know our characters very well, and so we just assume that we're going to start writing about strangers and it's only our job to tell their story and not invest our personal feelings into that story at all. I know this has happened to me before. There's no way that it could be the first time. But this is the first time in a long time where writing something has literally like destroyed me emotionally. So I am writing about a woman whose husband is dying. Have not experienced that myself. I don't know where this impulse came from to write about this. I mean, because it's not really about that. It's the main driving force behind, you know, everything that happens. But the story is really about all the different kinds of love that there are in your life that you will experience. I'm sitting at my computer writing this scene that is terrible and sad. And I'm sad. I'm not sad in my real life. Like, my real life is not tragic like this, at least not now. What drove me to want to display this kind of grief by writing about these characters? I don't know. Where did this come from? I think I've tried to write about grief before, and I've tried to use my own personal experiences, and I think the problem with that for me was that they were like too close to things that I didn't want to think about. You don't feel close to your characters until the moment you realize you wish you didn't have to put them through what you are putting them through. To realize that you are in control, mostly, of what's happening to them. And you could stop it at any moment. You have the power to do that. But at the same time, you know that you have to keep going. And the point of telling the story is that the characters have to go through these terrible things. And you don't want them to, but you do it anyway. And the only thing you can hope for is that they'll forgive you. Is that they'll learn what they need to learn, that once your part of telling their story is over, they'll be okay. I feel like if you don't have that kind of experience in this kind of emotional storytelling, you're not telling it right. It's almost like I have to imagine myself in this situation, which makes it so much worse. Because I hope, as everyone hopes, that I never have to go through anything like this. It kind of helps you realize, like, this is how I would feel. This is how my character probably feels, and this is how I'm reacting to it, and how my reader should react to it. And do I need to go deeper? Do I need to make this so much worse than it is? Because that's one thing about telling stories, is that sometimes you have to imagine like the worst possible thing and then make it even worse than that. I mean, this book there's lying, there's, you know, wanting things that you can't have. There's, you know, doing terrible things because you're so desperate to not be in the situation that you're in. And these are all things that everyone can relate to, and maybe not in this specific situation, but the relatability, is that a word? Is relatability a word? Google. The more your story relates to things that everyone has experienced on a more broad sense, the better your story is. You have to be willing to sacrifice your emotional wellness for the time that you're working on this story, because I feel like that's just something you have to be willing to say, I'm putting my readers through this. I have to go through it first because my characters are going through this, and I need to understand what that feels like if I'm going to convey the terribleness that is what this person is going through. I'm an emotional wreck. And it's weird because like I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh, my life is pretty good. I'm pretty happy. I go to work. I do the writing thing. I leave work. And then I switch over to writing this book. And by the time I'm done doing my writing for the day, I feel like everything is horrible. That's how deep into it I have to go. And you know what? It's not that great all the time. Like, I feel like I'm gonna have to give myself I'm gonna have to ease up a little bit. I've been averaging like probably more wow. I've been averaging way more words than I need to be the last couple days because I just am so into it. I'd like to scale back a little bit. Dive in as deep as you have to go, but remember to come back up for air every once in a while. That's really important, and it's something that I've really learned the past couple days. Know your limits. Good luck to you, whatever you are working on this week, today, tomorrow, whatever your November has in store for you in terms of creative projects. Keep going. We got this. Good luck.